So I was told this would be a Q&A, but
Yeah, we can do Q&A.
I'm sorry, you were totally on a roll there.
Yeah, that's all right.
I was trying to say it's okay, go ahead, do what you got to do.
I lost everything I own, but I made it because of this decision you made to start the
Thanks.
show. So.
How's everybody doing today? So glad you guys came to Summit. I mean, I don't. How many people here is it at first Summit? Whoa. Okay. That's cool. I had no idea. Well, that's cool. Well, we're just getting going, obviously. Who made the fashion show last night? That was who was stuck in line. Yeah, sorry about that. I guess the good thing is there's a lot of demand for T25, and there's a lot of demand for the cool stuff. And Core is great this year, and we actually, for the first time, have our own apparel line that's in there, which is kind of fun. And just a little remark about the Core and about the apparel, which is different from other companies. And I'm going to just very quickly talk about how we decided to start the network. And, you know, entrepreneurs, one of the things about entrepreneurs is that we tend to be relatively fearless. And something that I find about people like people, everybody else, is that they tend to be fearless. That you got to let go of the fear of rejection or indifference and find the people who truly need the help that we offer as a company, as Beachbody. And as a result, when you let that fear go and you're able to help people make themselves better, the reward is unbelievable for you and for them. And the difference between our company and other companies, and I don't want to go on and on here because we're limited in time, is that what we're offering is what people actually need. They need this badly. And I always tell this story. I remember, this is a horrible story, but not every network marketing company is like our company. They're not always offering what people need. And very often, and I know there was a lot of press last year, and I'm not bagging on Herbalife at all, I actually think they're an okay company. There was a lot of press about the way they were analyzing the market. There was a financial guy who basically said, I'm selling this stock short, and here's why. They allow too big of a nut to get in. Too many of their customers are buying the product just because they have to buy the product to be in the business. So the percentage of people that were buying their product was mostly their own distributors, or they were buying it to take on inventory because they had to buy it. And by the way, like I said, Herbalife is actually probably one of the good guys out there. But this financial analyst trashed them on some things where we're really different. The majority of Shakeology sales here in our company are to people who are consuming it and want it. Most people are buying one bag. If they're buying two, it's because they want to sample or they want to give it to people in their family. Shakeology is something that people need. And we're very different that way. Very different from other companies. We also make it really easy for people to get in, right? We don't charge you $2,000 and get you further in debt just to get in. We give you an easy way in, and we let you decide what you want to do with your business, and if you want to grow it and you want to become successful, then you end up hosting a room like this or up on stage at Summit. There are a lot of things you can do, or you end up just taking care of some bills and doing some things that you need to do because you're trying to get along. So when I don't know, in the 80s or just after the 80s, I had a buddy that I grew up with, and I use the term buddy loosely. And he was in an MLM that sold water filters, and you had to take on, I don't know what it was, at least $3,000 in inventory. So there were all these distributors all over the country with water filters just piled to the ceiling in the garage. And this guy owed me $100. And I had just gotten back from traveling around the world. I had no money. I didn't know what I was going to do next. And he heard I needed money. So he called me and said, hey, I got your $100. You should come and hang out. There might be a good job for you also. I was like, well, okay, sounds cool. I'd love to come at least get my $100. So I come walking into this room that was not very big. There was 25 seats in there. And there were a bunch of other people who had likewise been suckered into that room with a vague description of what was going on, and he might have owed all of them money too, I don't know. And I sat there, and it proceeded to be a demonstration of an incredible water filter and how you could run everything through it, and he ran coffee through it, turned it into water, and I was just sitting there going, oh my God. And he was talking about how he drove up in his Beamer, one of those things. I got a Beamer now. You guys got to do this. You got to get these water filters because then you can end up with a Beamer like me. But he wasn't selling anything that I wanted. He was selling an opportunity maybe, but he wasn't selling anything that I wanted. I didn't need those water filters. filters. I certainly didn't need 150 of them. But here at Beachbody, we're selling what people need. We let people in easy. We're giving you an opportunity to help people around you and help yourselves, I think. I don't know if you guys agree. So when we started the company, and Carl said, look, I think we've got something here, and I'm looking at network marketing. I go, well, I've thought of that too, but let me tell you about my experience with my water filter buddy. I just got up and walked out, right? Never got my $100. I just needed to get out of that room. I was like, ugh. Felt like I needed a shower after. Unfiltered water was fine. So I just said, look, as long as it doesn't end up like that, I'm in. As long as it's about helping our customers who we know are buying our product and they're not ending up using it, right? We sell 1,000 P90Xs and 20% of people who buy them maybe end up finishing 90 days, and that might be being generous. It's tough, right? It's tough to motivate yourself and get up in the morning before the kids are up and stick a DVD in and press play, and then start your day. You're tired in the morning, and you probably went to bed tired the night before, and to self-motivate is tough. And we really wanted to create this so we had people who they could turn to, who they could trust. A, to decide whether to get the product or not, or to get Shakeology or not. And B, because they need help getting through the program. They need help getting started, they need help with those choices, and sometimes they don't get that support at home. I think everybody here knows somebody who decided to make a change in their life and didn't get support at home that they needed. So they need somebody else to help them along, and that's what we wanted this community to be. We really wanted it to be a community. We wanted there to be a financial opportunity, but we wanted it to be an opportunity to help first and to help people finish. Because once people finish, you know how it is. They're in, right? We don't need to do any more selling. They are in. Once they finish and they lose that weight, or once they become a coach and they've helped other people and they start getting a check, that's it. It's done. They're cool. They're along for the ride because it's not a ride, it's a real thing. They're helping other people and helping themselves. So that was our goal when we started it, and I'm really happy to stand up here today and say we've created that community. I mean, here it is. People are helping people, and I can't tell you how good it feels to have a business that's actually making money that helps people, and not any other kind of business. But it's because of you guys, so thank you very much for becoming that.
No, that's awesome, because it's interesting you brought up, like when he was suffering who shorted Herbalife, and while that was happening, and I'm reading this, I'm like, man, you could run a presidential campaign on what we do for job creation and healthcare.
Right.
And these guys are taking the meeting for the wrong reasons, but what we have is what people need. You have a need. If we're a stock, we'd be the biggest buy on Wall Street ever.
Yeah, it's really true. And like I said, Herbalife's actually pretty good at what they do, and they're not a bad company. I don't mean to badmouth them all. We have some great people. I don't know if you guys know this. Michael Needham worked at Herbalife before he worked for us, but what they were getting trashed for, other companies are worse at. But we're so clean on that stuff because we're the real deal, and that just feels good. We're bulletproof in that kind of criticism.
All right. So maybe I don't know if everybody understands what you've gone through in the last bit of time. You have knee surgery that went wrong right after we got back from France.
That's right. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you remember, my knee was hurting in France, and we went on this pretty cool, still one of the best trips I've ever been on. It's a pretty cool bike ride through France. Sounds so cliche. It was pretty cool. Maybe it doesn't sound cliche at all. But anyway, it was really cool. But my knee was hurt and it was unstable, and I knew I had to get something done, and I had actually postponed surgery until after that trip. And I went in for the surgery. It felt great, and I went to leadership 8 days after I had that surgery, and I was feeling great. I was already working out every day, and then all of a sudden I woke up 5 days after leadership ended at Laguna, and I had a really sharp pain in my knee. And by the end of that night, I couldn't move. I couldn't walk or move. I literally dragged myself to the car, got myself to the emergency room. By the time I got to the emergency room, I needed help with 3 guys to get me out of my car, get me into the hospital. It turns out I'd gotten a staph infection that was going septic inside my knee. And I've been through some painful stuff, I gotta tell you. I've been through some crazy stuff. My mom said I've been to the emergency room more times than all my other brothers and sisters. There are 3 of them combined. I've fallen out of trees and off of bikes and off of skateboards and running into walls by mistake. Well, I caught a touchdown pass, actually turned around and ran into a wall. That's the first time I broke my nose. So anyway, kind of athletic, but kind of an accident prone. So I've been through some painful stuff, but that was crazy. And it took 5 surgeries and a month in the hospital to get rid of the staph infection. And then about 5-6 weeks later, as I started trying to move around again, I realized the knee had been totally decimated by all the surgeries, and I was never going to walk again on that knee. So by the way, staph infection, I don't know if anybody knows about them, but it requires home IV antibiotics. You got to go home and have an IV hooked up to you. You just got to sit at home with an IV going through all day, a couple times a day for an hour and a half. And then I realized my knee wasn't going to work, and so I started going around to knee replacement surgeons, and they said, the best ones in LA, we're not going to touch you. There's no way. Because once we stick that foreign object in your knee, if there's any residual infection in your body at all, it will just go there, and it will attack, and you'll lose the leg, or you'll lose your life. So I found this crazy guy who was working at this downtown hospital. He'd been let go from all the other hospitals, which wasn't encouraging particularly, but really it's because he's like this mad infection genius. Everybody who's had replacement surgeries, and mine wasn't that, mine was just a surgery that went wrong. But all these older people, actually a lot of them, who have replacement surgeries who then get infected, so their hip gets infected after a replacement surgery, he specializes in removing that joint, hip or knee, and then putting you through a process of 8 weeks with no hip or no knee, making sure that your body is infection-free, and then putting a replacement in. So I went through that 2-step process where they cut the knee out.
Oh my God.
So this time last year, I was in between cutting the knee out and getting the knee in. So I wasn't really up for a summit. I don't know how many. Are you guys enjoying that walk from your hotel room to here? It would suck on crutches. So anyway, so that's what I was going through last year. That's why I wasn't here. But I'm through it now. Did pediatrics. I decided to come back by doing something kind of mellow and just kind of get back in shape. So I did P90X starting in November, and actually it wasn't as easy as I wanted it to be. It was great for a month, and then as my body began to shift, because for a year I didn't walk, right? So my whole body, I was on my right foot. My entire body was aligned, head straight through right foot. So I went through a lot with readjustment stuff. Actually, today my foot is hurting me. Leg, it's not my knee, so still going through some stuff, but actually doing great, but made it. Good to be alive, good to be here, and this obviously fires me up, so yeah, it's nice to be here. I should know better than to sound on my phone.
How are you doing on time?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So obviously that's a pretty incredible perspective that you must have put on life as you're going through. That's a year of hell.
Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, but that's more than, it was more than a year that you went through that, right?
It was about a year. Well, actually, yeah, it was a year. The surgery was October, and then I finally was walking without a limp again, and starting in November. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I thought one of the coolest things when we started that Comeback Kids Challenge group,
yeah.
That, to come back from that and then to go do P90X, and obviously we've all talked about, hey, you can modify it. There's people in wheelchairs that have done it. Like, you can do it.
And I did modify it.
But it's just amazing to think about what you've been through and what you had to overcome. And it's always like that story of overcoming. And it just gives me a wild appreciation for it.
Yep. Well, it's nice to actually have an excuse to have to do P90X again. I didn't, although, I go through it. Carl and I both are, we don't love fitness. Right? We appreciate what it does for us. We appreciate what eating right does for us. But I'm not sitting around all day going, God, I wish I could get out of the office so I could go work out. Sometimes I do. When I'm in great shape, I feel that way. But you know how sometimes we kind of go like this? Sometimes you're just like, ugh. I think one of the reasons we're good at what we do is we think most people are kind of like us. There are people that just love being in shape. And there have been times when I've loved being in shape, and that was my thing, and I had time to work out every day. And, I used to be a writer. I got 2 hours to burn. I go to the gym and walk around and do machines. And, those days are gone, right? So we think we do a pretty good job of what we do because we make it right for real people to figure out a way to work out. That's actually why we're excited about T25 coming out. Because, yeah, talking about a kick-ass workout for busy people. For those of you who can get it, we'll have more coming in. I really do apologize about last night, by the way, those of you who were stuck in line. The demand was, let's just say the demand was even better than we thought, which is a good sign for everybody in this room. But it wasn't that fun last night. Sorry about that.
Hey, that's demand's demand. I mean,
Demand.
this thing fills a huge. I didn't think we had a hole in the product catalog, but it's like now we realize, just as I was out doing summit shopping, getting some shirts, pants, or whatever, and people were asking what's going on, and I bring up, oh, hey, so you know about P90X and Insanity? They're like, oh man, that's the toughest thing ever. You always get that response of how hard it was, or their brother-in-law did it, or their neighbor, or whatever, or they quit it. They say, oh, Shanti's got a new one coming out. It's only 25 minutes, 5 days a week, and they get that thing, and like, I can do that.
Yep, exactly. You know what's funny though? How many people here have done P90X or Insanity? Have tried it, done it? It's really, we always go like, whew, that was tough. And we love to say how tough it was because we feel good that we did it, right? So while at the same time we feel so good we say how tough it is, we're unintentionally freaking people out who haven't done it yet. We're like, wow, I don't know if I want to die the first time I do this. So, I honestly, I don't know the balance, right? Because once they do it, they get to say, "Ooh, that was tough," and now they're freaking out somebody else. But it's cool. It's a challenge, and that's what's fun about it. But obviously, anybody can start that program and get fit and change their life. And, there are a lot of people who lost over 100 pounds doing P90X, and any of you who have done that workout, they know that when they were 100 pounds overweight, they weren't doing that workout all the way through or even halfway through, but they were showing up. They were doing it. When they couldn't do it, I don't know what they were doing, hanging out, standing there, jogging in place, stepping in place, whatever it takes, but they were there, and they were in the game, they were in the room, and they were trying. And eventually they did do it. I don't know, Tommy, where are you?
Right here.
What was it like? What was it like the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks doing that program?
Sucked.
I was on the floor.
But I'm more amazed, that guys that were in your condition just said, well, that's the one for me, rather than the 30 other programs that are appropriate.
Well, I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. In fact, it was my best friend. His son had seen the infomercial with him.
Right.
This was 6 years ago, and said, challenged his dad, said, I bet you can't do that. And his dad was just sucker enough to try it. And his dad was my best friend. And he just said, hey man, I got this peanut. He said, I had never heard of it. He's like, but you've been talking about not being fat for a long time. Why don't you do this with me? We didn't even have a pull-up bar, right? We had nothing. We didn't have bands, we didn't have a pull-up bar. So we did chest and back, right? And the way we did pull-ups was my friend would hold his arms out and I'd be on my knees. I swear to you, right? And
That's called modification.
Modification. When it was yoga time and they did like the vinyasa, I would just watch them do the vinyasa and then I go, okay, another vinyasa, like this, which is totally, but like you said, you're there. You know what? And Tony says some things in that, some life-changing things in that workout that really changed my perspective on things. He said, listen, don't worry about what you can't do, worry about what you can do and go from there.
Yep.
Right? And it's the same in the business.
Yeah.
It's the same in the business. Maybe you don't have 30 hours a week to spend. Maybe you have 3. Maybe you can find an hour 3 times a week to focus on helping someone, right?
Yep.
He also
the parallels are unbelievable. Between deciding to take the time to be fit, the discipline it takes to do what you need to do, and the discipline it takes to get rolling and get your business going. Because it's not easy, right? It's not easy, just like P90X, it's not easy, but once you show up, it's not hard.
And you gotta keep showing up.
But you gotta show up. So, there you go. Talking about France all day.
The value of those trips is actually, as I mentioned earlier, we went into that trip, the guys and I, we were good friends, but we came out and great friends. I mean, the experiences that we got from saying yes to life, and because of the incentives that Jon and Carl put out, and for me a big defining moment was in the beginning of 2010. You guys changed the deal from a contest you had to win to something you could qualify for. So we won the top 10 coaches, but it was a qualification. It was like
Not a chance, but earning.
Exactly. You weren't pulling a name out of a hat. We could earn that deal. And so, Success Club, the same thing with the vacation. And that cruise was the first trip Kelly and I had been on. Like, ironically, in the real estate days, with all the money we made, we went to San Diego once and rented a condo with no air conditioner. And it was like this hot week with the kids at the beach. Sunscreen and sunburns were like, shit, that's all we did for 10 years. And then, so the cruise was the big deal. And then the France trip, that was all the same year. But those were life-changing moments.
Yeah, it was great. It was eye-opening again.
Yeah.
Just if you've never been somewhere, France is a crazy place, right? I mean, most people know how to live. They've been doing it for thousands of years. Relatively new, and our country's only 200 years old. That we were staying in hotel rooms that were older than our country, and it was pretty good. And they were nice too. They weren't just old, crusty, and moldy. They were nice. It was a fun. I got to tell you, it's a fun trip. I travel a fair amount for work, and so I've been to that area before. But being there with the people that were on the coaches that had qualified for that trip, who won that trip, was awesome, because their zest for life and for new things and just how much they love that place was so cool for me to see. And by the way, I still love it. I'm like a kid at a candy store. I never get tired of stuff like that, right? I mean, the worst thing in life is where all of a sudden you don't even notice the things that you've gained in life and you appreciate. I'm lucky enough to have a house that has an ocean view. I always dreamed about having a house with an ocean view. And actually, I got a house with an ocean view a long time ago. I just got a good deal. It happens to be on a landslide, so I got it for cheap. But every morning I wake up and I make sure I stop and look at that ocean. Because if I ever forget to look at that ocean, forget how great life is and how lucky I am in so many ways, then what's the point? If I got my head down and all I'm doing is working, there's just no point to it. So again, we're all here for the same reason. We believe in what we're doing, and we want to work hard, and we want to gain things. But life's pretty good right now, this second also. Let's not forget to remember that.